Russia had three goals. The first was to see if they could discredit Western democracy. And it's not just the US, they've done this in France, in Germany, in Sweden. This is a larger goal for them, to defend their own regime. The second was to see if they could affect the outcome of the election by creating false news, by changing how people think. And in that they were relatively successful. They're using the material hacked out of the DNC and then leaked. The third thing is this recent release of an NSA document that suggests the Russians were actually looking at voting machines, actually looking at how you would interrupt vote counting, voter registration, actually interfering with the mechanics of voting. So they had three goals and they got two of them. It should be shocking, but it isn't, because the Russians are very skillful. They have tremendous capabilities, but they don't need to use them because our defenses are so bad. So over and over again, we've seen surveys that show that 85% of the hacks rely on the most basic techniques. And this was a pretty simple phishing email. The procedure was complicated, and it was interesting to see that the Russians had even figured out a way to get around two-factor authentication. But that it was this easy, not really a surprise. It's always too easy. You know, leaking goes back to Abraham Lincoln, so it's something that every president has to deal with. It's just part of politics in Washington. For the intelligence community, it's interesting to see, however, that so often it turns out to be a contractor. And the contractors, it was Snowden, it's been some others. You know, maybe we need to take a harder look at contractors, because that's where part of the problem lies, but the other part of the problem is this is just politics. Welcome to Washington.